It looks like your diagnosis is called something called abductor spasmodic dysphonia. And what that means is that your vocal folds are constantly staying open. That's what it means to adduct or abduct. Um, so with your vocal folds constantly open, that means a lot of air is going to be able to get out when you're trying to use your voice. And that's also why it's really hard for you to produce a voice because your body's working against itself to close, which is what we need for our vocal folds to go like this to create our voice. So, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think I'm just glad that I have an answer now. Maybe we can figure out if there's anything I'm doing that's causing it. Maybe help my symptoms.
Okay, so sound a little relieved.
Yeah, I think I'm relieved.
Okay, good. So before we start doing some actual therapy approaches, I'm just going to talk to you about it just to get a sense of how everything's going for you, okay?
Okay.
So, first, what would you like to see from therapy?
I definitely want to see how I can improve my symptoms on a day-to-day basis. Maybe learn some techniques I could do throughout the day at work since I'm a salesperson and I'm talking a lot to clients. Also, kind of want to talk to you about whether or not some of the things I do hurt my voice more than other, like if I need to make any lifestyle changes.
Okay, so it sounds like you're pretty willing to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is your primary goal with therapy?
I think my primary goal is to just feel better about my voice. It causes me a lot of stress while I'm at work, so I think definitely relieving those symptoms a little bit, whether just to get a kind of a working voice, something that works for me.
So, sounds like you want to just get back to normal functioning. All right. So, now, a little more specifically, how do you feel your voice impacts you on your day-to-day?
I definitely think it impacts my job. I'm talking a lot, and I feel like it ruins my confidence while I'm at work, and I'm a salesperson, so it's pretty important that I have that. And then by the time I get home, I'm kind of tired and don't really want to use my voice anymore after it's caused me so much stress, and I don't really get to talk to my family much.
So you seem like you're lacking a little confidence and that you're feeling a little detached socially.
Yeah.
Okay. So one last question before we get going. If you woke up tomorrow and everything was back to normal, how would you know?
I think it would just be easier for me to talk. Like I wouldn't have to really think about it.
Okay, good. All right, then let's get going.
All right, so first I kind of want to talk about your vocal hygiene, something that's really important to keeping your voice functional throughout the day. So I kind of want to just show you a little bit of the anatomical structure of how you produce your voice. So first you have the lungs, which is kind of where that voice comes from. It gives you that air, and it comes through the trachea, and then right here is your voice box, and that's where we find the vocal folds. So this is just a little zoomed up picture of that. So right here is where those vocal folds are open. It's when we talked about abducting, which is part of your voice disorder. So your vocal folds tend to be more in that position than in the closed position, which is what gives you that ample voice. So when they're open like that, that's when all the air comes through, and it's harder for you to get that pressure. And so what we want to work on is kind of the health of that. We want to keep your vocal folds pretty healthy. And some ways we can do that are like through hydration, taking breaks when you're speaking a lot, when you know you'll be speaking a lot, and like planning those in your day. So first, I kind of want to talk about your hydration habits. Do you find you drink enough water, or like what does your daily water intake look like?
I try to drink the recommended 8 cups, but sometimes I'm average. I would say I'm 5 or 6.
Okay. All right. Well, those drinking water will definitely keep your vocal folds hydrated, and it'll help them move better and less tension. And then also, I know you said you're a salesperson, so you're probably talking quite a bit every day, right?
Mhm.
Do you ever feel like the more you talk, the more tired it gets, the more like symptoms you experience?
As my day goes on, I notice it gets worse, and
Okay.
I feel worse.
Okay. You feel worse. All right. So I kind of want to work on planning those breaks throughout your day. I know you see a lot of clients, so maybe in between clients you have a set time, whether that be 10 or 15 minutes of complete rest where you don't use your voice at all if you don't have to. Now, if somebody were to come up to you, you're allowed to talk to them, but just try and be mindful that that is your rest time. And then throughout the day, hopefully by the end of the day, with those breaks built in, you'll feel a little better about your voice. It might not be as tired as you said. But I also want you to keep a diary of that, as well as your water intake. And I want you to record how much water you drink and then record your symptoms afterwards. Like maybe some days when you're drinking more water, you might notice more relief in your symptoms, whereas days you don't drink as much water. And it's okay if it's not as high some days, but maybe after time and practice, you'll get more into a habit of drinking water. And so, also your voice clearing. Do you ever find that you kind of are excessively coughing or clearing your throat?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, also in that diary, if you find yourself doing that, maybe more than usual, then I want you to keep note of that because that's also something that can be kind of traumatic on the vocal folds. Okay? All right, so now we're going to kind of go into a little bit of relaxation techniques. Okay? All right, so now we're going to go into some mindful relaxation exercises. These are something that I want you to work on in here and at home because I know, and at work as well, because you said you get kind of stressed at work. These are something you can do if you go back to your desk and just calm down, take 1 or 2 minutes to go through this. And it'll relieve a little bit of the stress on your voice. So I want you to close your eyes and kind of do a mental scan of your speech mechanism I just showed you and feel any tension that you might be feeling. And I want you to just breathe naturally and bring any attention to those parts of speech that feel the most tense. It might be your vocal folds, maybe it's in your lungs. And I want you to allow these areas to release when you exhale. And I want you to increase your inhalations, but without pulling any tension back on those speech mechanisms. All right, how do you think that feels? You're kind of more calm.
Yeah.
Maybe relax the vocal folds a little bit more.
Can I do that during my breaks?
Yeah, as long as you're not talking in your breaks, that'll be a perfect time to do it. Maybe it'll take a little bit less time throughout the day. And I want you to practice those anytime you might be going into a big meeting or a big meeting with a client, anytime you feel like you might be very stressed or talking a lot, because that might relax the vocal folds and bring you in a good position to get started. Okay?
So even if I'm not going to talk?
Yeah. Even if maybe you don't think you're going to be the main talker in the situation, if it's causing you a lot of stress, it might be helpful just to run through that, just to make it habitual, and then, like, if you did have to talk in that situation, you wouldn't be as tense.
So if I feel tense all over, I'm probably tense here.
Yeah, probably. And you can also use these exercises for any other times you feel tense, whether it be in your legs or your arms or your chest, wherever it feels tense. This will help you there too. Okay? All right, now we're kind of going to go into a little bit more specific exercise, the vocal function exercise. Okay? So now we're going to work on the vocal function exercise. This is a very specific approach, and it targets exercising the muscles in your vocal mechanism, just the same way we kind of target our skeletal muscles. They both respond great to exercise. It's just a quick 4-step approach, and you have to run through it twice. And this is also another thing you can do at home. And also, I want you to be mindful throughout this exercise that you need to keep in mind your posture, once you have a pretty straight posture, and your breathing, and your onset of voice too. I know you struggle with that a little bit. So first we're going to start up with a warm-up, and I just want you to sustain E for as long as possible. Okay, now I want you to glide from your most comfortable low note to your most comfortable high note on the word knoll. All right, good job. And now I want you to do kind of like the opposite. So go from your most comfortable high note to your most comfortable low note on the word boom. All right. And now if you could sustain the musical notes for as long as possible on the sound O. Good work. So pretty quick, pretty simple. We'll run through that one more time. I want you to hold E for as long as possible. Good work. Glide from your lowest note to your highest note on the word knoll. Okay. And glide from your high note to your low note on the word boom. Okay, and then lastly, sustain the musical notes for as long as possible on the sound O. Good work. Good. So I want you to work on those at home. We'll practice them a few times. I know they might be a little bit uncomfortable doing on your own, but we'll make a habit of that over the next couple of weeks. And then with the vocal hygiene, the mindful relaxation, and this approach, I kind of want you to stick to just these for the next couple of weeks at home. And then after that, if we see good progress, we might go in a different direction, or we can talk about other interventions like medical options or maybe even surgical options, wherever you kind of feel like you're at. All right? Sound good? Well, good session today. You're welcome.